What's up, guys? Panic here, otherwise known as Panic Picnic, and today I'm actually going to be doing a review of the Witchwood characters. In other words, I'm going to put them in ranked from easiest to hardest. That way, if you don't have any idea of really what you're doing when you're doing the monster hunt, you'll at least understand what to do and about kind of what build orders I think are the best. Now let's go ahead and start with what is the easiest? Well, in the number one easiest spot, we've got Time Tinkerer. Woo! She's easy, yeah! Woo! She's actually the easiest. Anyone who says otherwise, in my opinion, is kind of wrong. And the reason why is her ability is just that OP. She has plenty of variability, what she has in her builds. She can go for a full discover based build where they're discovering new spells. She can go for a full stack your deck with nothing but spells, and then every time you draw it, it instantly casts that spells at a random target. She can do absolutely anything. And then on top of that, to make it even worse, to make it even better, she's the only person in this entire game that is, if you die, it restarts. That's easy. That's easy mode. And if you had a garbage turn, guess what you do? Boop! Reset. She also has the only ability. She has the only person to fully have her to fully have her hero power be able to access all the time. She can get a card that resets your hero power every time a certain spell is activated. Or it's one of those. It's one of those abilities. Or it's every time a certain card is played. And what you can do is you can constantly keep resetting it. So you can always just play the play the spell, and you're like, you know what? I didn't get the ability. I didn't get the card I want. I didn't get the RNG I wanted. Reset. And you can constantly keep doing that. And that's just what makes her so good. Also, she has a lot of really good treasures that she can get, and that just really makes her really good. A big one of note is it always plays the first spell every turn. She also has got one that makes all the spells cost one less. That means if you can get a certain card that does echo, you can just constantly keep spamming it. One thing of note that I've made mention of is if you go up against the little fog ghost, little Dementor looking dude, and you've got that one that lowers your spell, and you get arcane missiles. That'll make it cost 0, and you can just effectively arcane missile him to death. And that's basically a free win. And overall, if you get the card that makes it for the first spell you cast for turn 1, I mean, like I said, it's pretty good. In my opinion, like, Tinker is just the easiest. She has so many options of what she can do, and if you make a mistake, you can just reset. And that's what, in my opinion, what makes her so good. Also, she's got a whole access to mage spells, which is just great, including all the broken ones. The next one we've got for number 2, we've got the Tracker. I know I'm doing things backwards. We're going to go from hardest to easiest. The Tracker is actually the second easiest in my opinion. She comes in at number 2. And the reason why I'm saying that is she has the same thing as Time Tinker, where she has an immense variety in the type of build she can go. She can go for large late game minions. She can go for secret based. She can go for weapon based. She can go for jade based. She can go anything. Also, what makes it so good is you can do so many different things with just a little bit of cards. You can do Jade based with just Shadow Step and one thing, and the little Emerald thing that it's every time it summons, it costs. It's that 4-drop. It's Battle Cries and summon one. Just constantly keep dropping those out with Shadow Step, and then you just constantly use your hero power to get Shadow Step back, and you rinse repeat. If you don't like that, well, maybe you can do a weapon-based build. Again, you only need 2 cards. You just need the one drop mana, the 1 mana weapon that has the Death Rattle that it just goes back into your deck, and then you just get anything that boosts its attack, and you're done. Just rinse, repeat. Well, you don't like that build. Maybe you're gonna go from a full spell-based power build. She's got a couple cards that every spell you cost, it increases its spell power by 2. Then you can just go ahead and just backstab people to death. You can literally do anything with the Tracker, and that's what I really like, is her versatility. The reason why I said I'm going to put her at number 2 is her hero power, in my opinion, is just not as good as the Time Tinkerers in terms of if you just get bad RNG. Also, you do lose the fact of if you die, you just reset, and Time Tinkerer just has that. Like, yeah, like I said, you could put him on even footing, but like I said, I think the Tracker is a very, very close second. If the Time Tinker got world record, the Tracker is only 0.0001 second behind. The only thing that that also does put the Tracker behind is if you go for certain based builds. If she's not getting the cards she needs, it definitely puts her on an offset more so than the Time Tinker, who can just go for a full Discover based and can always have different versatility of what she has. So the Time Tinker is always going to have something. The Tracker, you may need to get a little lucky. That being said, she does have a lot of really good talents that she can go for. She has one where she can use her hero power twice in a turn, and making her hero power cost 1. This again is very good against the Dementor looking dude. You just pop it, and then you can start throwing rocks at him. And then again, you've got an insta kill since there is no rope in the Witchwood mechanic, in the Witchwood at all, which makes it pretty good. Also, another thing you could totally go for as well. You could go for the one where it just makes her. Every card that did not start in her hand cost 1 less. Again, this is really good if you try to do for maybe a steel-based Tracker. You just constantly steal cards. It could be really good when you do your reset. When you use your hero power, everything you're going to get is going to cost 1 less. Again, this overpowers a lot of abilities that she has. And again, it makes Jades really, really good on the Tracker. And I'd highly recommend it if you haven't played it. It's pretty much like a free win if you get if you get it. At number 3, this one's going to be a little bit further back, of course. We're going to go with the Cannoneer. And the reason why we're going to go with the Cannoneer is this guy actually requires a little bit of knowledge on how Hearthstone works. Now, like I said, with the Time Tinker, you pretty much just run your head into a wall, and if your head didn't make a big enough dent, reset. The Tracker, well, if your head didn't make a big enough wall, you're at least going to get a little bit of tools to help you go through that wall. The Cannoneer he's got the PhD. He needs to know what it's going to take to get through that wall. In other words, it requires a little bit of maneuverability and revolving around his cannon. While yes, his cannon does do a whole lot of damage, it's got to be in the right position at the right time to make sure the Cannoneer can use his ability. Now, that's really, again, also a little bit of the downside is, especially if you do some sort of recruit or anything that the Cannoneer does have ability and access to get, it can sometimes move your cannon out of the way, and that, again, can be a little bit of a pain. But again, if you do hit those late in game modes where your recruit is completely doing fine, I mean, you're going to be doing good. That being said, if you do have a full-fledged board and the enemy decides to kill a few minions as well, they can, again, move your cannon, and that is a good source of your hero. It's a really good hero power that can you're basically spending a lot of mana for board clear. And it's really, really good. It requires a little bit of math, it requires a little bit of positioning, like I said. But like I said, it's really, really good. The downside of the Cannoneer is his hero power doesn't actually do a whole lot of damage. It only does do 1 damage. And yes, he does have the card in his deck that boosts it up by 2. And he does have the treasure that, of course, makes it do 2 damage. But without those, his cannon doesn't do a whole lot. He does, of course, have a couple of cards to accent his cannon that if you don't get, instead of getting the +2, making your cannon do 2 damage, he does get cards that, such as every time the cannon shoots, it reduces your cards in your hand by, I believe, 3. And that's the reason the Cannoneer is so good. It requires a whole lot of precision and requires a lot of things to just come together. Unlike the Time Tinker or the Tracker, that they can make do with such little resources, the Cannoneer needs resources to function. If he doesn't have any resources, he's kind of detrimentally hindered, in my opinion. If you just get bad RNG in terms of your treasures, it can again hinder him. That being said, I think he has some of the best treasures in the game that accent his hero power quite well. Some things that come into mind, in particular, treasure-wise, that he gets that no one else really gets. He gets a minion that when summoned, it does rush, and it's a rushed minion. It has like 9. It has a lot of HP. I believe it's like 9, and it does 3 damage. It only costs, I believe, like 4 or something. It costs really, really low. And when it attacks, it fires your cannon. Now, again, if your cannon does 2 damage, if you got previous treasures that increase your cannon's damage, or reduces cost in your minions, reduces the cost of your minions, or even increases the attack every time your cannon fires for that turn, that really helps you out. I mean, you're getting a free cannon shot without using your hero power, and that's what makes it really good. Another thing he gets is he gets a battle cry minion that allows him to summon another cannon. Now, again, that's pretty broken, if you ask me, because that means you have 2 cannons that can do a whole lot of damage, and then when you combo it with the card that does that extra damage, you just got cannons firing everywhere. I mean, it's great. Another big thing about him that's really positive that I really like I said, is his cannon. I know I'm focusing a whole lot on it. Is that his cannon can hit 2 minions at once if you position it right. If you position it just in the middle of 2, it'll shoot 1. It'll do damage to 1 and then the one on the right, and that's what makes it so good. Also, it's really good at clearing up some really difficult ones. One that comes to mind in particular is that every time one of your minion dies, it summons a 1/3 on the thing with Death Rattle that does 1 damage to everyone on the field. You can just basically instead of really just summoning things on your side of the field, you can just basically just shoot them. And if the enemy produces like a really big minion you just can't get rid of, just shoot your minions and then he'll kill them for you. I mean, that's what makes him so good. While yes, he does have a little bit of difficulty, a couple treasures in my opinion that doesn't really combo with him is, it's also a downside as well, is his starting deck is, in my opinion, garbage. It's horrible. And the reason why is because it doesn't really accent with some of the treasures he's able to get. He's got a lot of enraged based minions. In other words, if they're damaged, like they can't be full HP, get damaged, and go back to full HP. No, they need to be below full HP at all times for them to have it, to have that enraged mechanic active. And some of those treasures he gets, like to be able to heal him up, heal certain minions, it kind of makes those minions a little useless. And he does have like, I believe he starts with a decent amount of them, and that kind of does offset. It kind of does offset the ability to pick that treasure. So it kind of makes that treasure a little useless in my opinion. Again, though, it does make the treasure that increases your minion's HP by 3 pretty good. That being said, a couple builds I would recommend on him is, of course, a Battlecry Cannon build, in which you get the card that makes your Battlecries trigger twice, and then you you get lucky and get the treasure that makes you summon an extra cannon. Then you have 3 or maybe 4 cannons on the field at a time, and it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's great. Again, it does take up that space on the field, but it's still amazing when you get to see just cannons firing off all the time. The weakest build, in my opinion, of him is his weapon-based build. I'm not sure if they added a couple new cards because he definitely needs them, but his weapon-based build, in my opinion, is absolutely just the weakest. But he does get a benefit, though, is he does get Ragnaros and those type of really big minions. Also, he gets that warrior weapon where every time it hits, he recruits a minion. So you can just do a full-based big minion build, which is always really fun. That being said, let's go ahead and move on into number 4. Number 4, if you have not guessed, is the one I have not beat, and that is the Houndmaster. Now, the Houndmaster, in my opinion, is garbage. He's absolutely the weakest in this mode, and he's garbage because he has a lot of things that keep him from being good. It's like Blizzard was like, how can we make this guy garbage? Let's just take away everything that makes the hunter fun or everything that makes the hunter good, and let's just not give it to him. And the reason why is because he starts off with a whole lot of cards that allow you to go in different he allows you to go into different areas, but the treasures he gets sometimes will not fully help him reach that potential. Some things that come to mind is you can get cards that help with your death rattles. In other words, they'll trigger your death rattles twice. And that could be your first treasure you get after you beat the first boss. And we talk what Blizzard has the audacity to do is not give you a single death rattle minion that you not give you another death rattle minions other than the ones you started with. Now I can understand Well, you're like, well, maybe I just won't pick it, and I'll pick it later in the game. Well, otherwise you might not be able to get it, and that's a little bit of a downside. And he does have that is a really good, that's a really good treasure. Another thing that sets him off, that in my opinion is also pretty garbage, is his hero power is trash comparatively to everyone else's. His hero power summons a 1/1 for 2 mana. You summon a 1/1 dog with Rush. That is a little bit better than a base paladin. Now, the reason why I'm saying I find this a little bit stupid is the tracker's hero power is ungodly great. We know she has one of the best hero powers in the game, especially with active use. Same with the Time Tinker. It's like, it's not in the game and it's greatly accented. The Cannoneer, it could be, let's say, a modification of, let's say, Mage, but it's got abilities to make it do better, and it's just good because it can clear out a full board by itself. The Houndmaster, oh, by the way, this is without any treasures. By the way, all of these I'm analyzing without any treasures. Houndmaster, doesn't matter, no treasures, 1/1 Hound, Rush, can't even attack the enemy hero. Why would you ever use that hero power by itself? That being said, he does have a really good boost to it that increases your Hounds by 2 attacks. So that means it's a 3/1. And that is really, really good. I mean, it's really good, but that is the only, in my opinion, real reason why you should ever use his hero power. Because he doesn't have any really good cards in the cards that that he's given. And I think that's really like a limitation. Like I said, he can go the entire game without getting a Death Rattle card other than the cards you're given, and that's a little stupid in my opinion. You can't really go Secret Hunter because you just he doesn't really get the full assets, and it seems like the tracker is supposed to go the secret based, and you're just limited on what you can do. Yes, you can go charge. Yes, you can go unleash the Hounds and the Hyena. But again, that revolves a lot around what your opponent does. Like with the Tracker, the Cannoneer, and the Time Tinker, even their hero powers and the cards they're given allow them to play by themselves. It does not matter what my opponent does. I can still react and I can still do damage on a given turn. The Houndmaster, it feels like I'm really just limited to just, it's really RNG based. I know it sounds like I'm a little salty, and that's because I am. Let's be real. Also, when it comes down to his final boss is just ungodly hard in my opinion, especially for what he provides. Like what he goes up, like what he provides. Like they summon a 6 attack, like they summon Raven people that every time you, like, yeah, you can clear her board, but it's like every time it's gonna go back into her deck, then she just resummons it. And she has to have a complete board clear for you to have the ability to damage her, and it's like, what do you want me to do? It's like, if I'm being held back by the card choices, then it's like, I can't win. Well, yeah, you could do some basic treasures that he gets. Like I said, he does get, his unique ones are that Death Rattle minions trigger, immediately they're spawned, which is really, really good. If you don't get any Death Rattle minions, it's completely useless. He does get the Hound one, which does a 3/1, which is really good. In my opinion, that's actually one of the good ones. If you can get that, I would highly recommend it. That being said, the Houndmaster is severely limited on what he really can do. It's severely based on the cards he picks. Well, yes, you could say that's the same for others. I would disagree because the Cannoneer can go taunt. He can go plenty of different bases of what he can go. And he can work with less resources because he has his cannon that can help clear out a full-fledged field, even with just one card that increases it to 3 damage. I mean, even if you just have that one card, that can save the day. The Tracker, it's like you basically, like, you're playing your cards, you're playing your opponent's cards, you have everything. The Time Tinker, you don't like what you get, just reset it. It doesn't matter. You don't like what cards you took from your opponent, reset it, whatever. You don't like what cards you got from your treasure, reset it, whatever. It doesn't matter. But with the Houndmaster, he's just limited. Like, it's just being forcefully limited. And in my opinion, that's what makes him the weakest. So in my opinion, We've got Time Tinker at 1. We have Tracker at close number 2. We have a Cannoneer at 3 because he requires a little bit of positioning and he requires at least a little more resources than everybody else. The Houndmaster, in my opinion, I would fire him from the Avengers. I would kick him out of the Witchwood. I would be like, dude, we can find anyone with a gun. This is Warcraft. This is World of Warcraft. Let's be real. We got a mage. We got a rogue with a freaking crossbow in her hand. What is the difference? The only difference is he has a horse and a friend. This guy's a wolf boy. He's a worgen. He's a worgen with a sword. He's a dog. Look, he's literally like better than that already. He's already like half of that. And he's got a sword, which is a gun. And he has a cannon, so let's be real. He's got his cannon is going to beat that gun, and he's a dog with a sword. So his dog beats that dog, and his sword kills the horse. Let's be real. Cannoneer beats Houndmaster. Crossbow, she hates worgen, kills worgen. She manipulates time. Let's be real. Time Tinker OP. That being said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I do here. This is the rating of the Witchwood. That being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.